Hello, fight fans, and welcome to the Combat Challenge podcast. My guest today is a bantamweight MMA athlete with 25 professional fights to his name. He's competed on promotions such as UC, MMA, ACB, Made for the Cage, and Cage Warriors. His kickboxing record is 12 wins and only 4 defeats. His karate record is 11 wins with only 3 defeats. His boxing record is 6 wins with only 1 defeat. He is a 5th degree black belt in karate, a 2nd degree black belt in kickboxing, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu purple belt under the guidance of Professor Danny Mitchell from Combat Base, and he's the chief instructor and owner of Nikos Martial Arts Academy, Mr. Niko, the Albanian Assassin Gjoka. Nice to meet you, my brother.
Nice to see you. What an introduction. That is crazy. How's it going?
I should have been an MC, brother, shouldn't I? Were you happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, you've done so much. It's not like it's just MMA, you know. You've done the striking and everything, so I had to get it all in, brother. You know, it had to be done, man.
Props to you from remembering all that.
These are your accolades, my friend, so people need to know about this Albanian Assassin. Talking about the Albanian Assassin, brother, where did that fight name come from? Share that with us.
Obviously, as you know, and pretty much everyone knows, I trained at ABT, and Danny Mitchell had Danny Mitchell, the Cheesecake Assassin, my coach, Danny. So basically, everybody kept saying, I think Brandon Chaplin started this.
Was he the strength and conditioning coach?
Yes. So when he was Danny's strength and conditioning coach, but at the same time, Danny used to take me to train with Brandon Chaplin. And we used to go pretty much in the mornings and we'll do our strength and conditioning together, me and Danny and Brandon Chaplin. It was just brilliant. Honestly, absolutely amazing. And I was made up. Like, obviously, I was training with Danny, training with Brandon Chaplin, so much knowledge. And I think he started it off because my first fight under Danny, which was at Cage Steel, and I trained for that camp with Brandon Chaplin. I fought Carl Harrison. And I fought on Mark Goddard's show. He had the show back in 2011. And I think Brandon Chaplin started that. And didn't think of much of it real. And next thing, obviously, I had the page going. And I was introduced like that in a few fights. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I think Brandon Chaplin started that.
Yeah, and he used to take people to, was it Leeds Carnegie or somewhere?
Yeah, he worked. I think he worked there. He was doing PTs, and I used to go there once or 2 times a week because obviously I live in Huddersfield. But I used to go once or 2 times a week training with Brandon. And now I think he's passed that on to Dan Mitchell, who does a fantastic job as well. So, but I'm not sure. Brandon's doing loads of good things. I follow him on social media, and I like to listen to his. He's doing an amazing job at the moment. So yeah, I was blessed to train with him.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And especially train with him with Danny at the same time. I think Danny at that time we were training for some huge fights, such as I think Gunnar Nelson when he fought some huge names. Then I think it was before Danny got signed to UFC.
I remember going to Brendan Chaplin's once when I was training at Spenners, and it was unreal. And it had all like the Olympic weights and everything.
Literally everything. And the guy had a plan written down, exactly what we had to do. And he will put the time and run you through the session. I think the best strength and conditioning coach I've trained with. Yeah. Top guy as well.
For sure, man, for sure. Now, brother, I've known you for many years, maybe like 15, 16, 17 years. I don't know, brother, too long. But a lot of people don't know your journey, not just your martial arts journey, but your journey from Albania to the UK. Can you share that with us, that story?
Yeah, so I basically, when I was 13 years old, I decided to move on, such as left Albania. It's a sort of long story, but I'm going to shorten it up a little bit. Basically the way.
Don't shorten it. Tell me the long stories. Go for it.
So I left it when I was 13 years old. I decided, so I left Albania, and the way I came over here, which is crazy because like it actually sometimes it gives me nightmares to hear, because about a few weeks ago, a month ago, maybe a bit long, I'm not too sure. It was like, did you hear about them on news that was it 39 or 49 people that died in a lorry? It was on news, and that was me on the lorry, man, when I came over here. So it's kind of like seeing that now. And obviously I was in my own, I was 13 years old. But seeing people dying on the lorry with their wives, husbands, kids, that was like, when I heard that, it's such a like, I like to say I'm the most positive guy around. Because it's nothing, I'm always trying to be professional. I always try to stay positive. And that day when I heard that, I was a little bit down, if I have to be honest, because that's how I came to UK. I came on the back of a truck. So I got in a lorry and stayed in a lorry for quite a long time, to be fair. And when I run out of food, run out of water, which I didn't do as long as I do when I'm cutting weight sometimes, because as you know, when I'm cutting weight, basically last meal I had probably Wednesday morning or something, or maybe Wednesday night, and then don't eat anything Thursday until Friday when I'm trying to cut to 57, let's say. But then I run out of food, so I got in a lorry. I stayed in a lorry a good 3-4 days. I had a big bag of food and water, and then I've run out of food. I think maybe a good 24 hours or something, and like I was starving. You know what I mean? So then I decided to like, but luckily me, I didn't get in a lorry where it was covered with metal. I had a little knife with me, which is not cool carrying knives, but I had to, and I made a sort of L shape on the lorry. And when I did the L shape, I jumped out of the lorry as soon as he stopped at traffic lights, and just run off really. And because I didn't want the lorry to like. So my intention wasn't to come here, by the way, in UK. My intention was to go anywhere for a better life for me. And then when I got out in Huddersfield. So I sort of run off because I was when I got out, I was pretty scared, let's be honest. I was young. And then as I run off, I got away from the lorry. I went to sort of a traffic light, trying to cross the road. Lucky me, heard some guy speaking in Albanian. And that was my ticket. With like, happy days. I was like, yo, guys, because I didn't know anyone. I wasn't going to anyone. I had no plans, so I heard these guys speaking in Albanian. So I sort of asked them for help, and they sort of looked after me. They said to me, what are you doing here? And this and that. So I told them a little bit, which pretty much that's their story. So they knew pretty much. And they took me to a place where that place was looking after refugees. It was called Craft at the time. And they took me there. There was a director there. She was called Pam Bai then. And she's Pam Brook now. But she was a director there. The place took me there, and literally they interviewed me. I had a translator there. And she literally looked after me. After I was pretty lost. I just wanted to eat food. Yeah. I was starving. All I wanted to do is eat food and drink some water. So I got some food, and I drank water and stuff. And then basically I went and lived with her son for about a good year or so. I lived with her son. And then after that, I was doing martial arts. So have you got time to tell me another little story when I was living with her son? So I went and lived with her for about a year, but at this time I wanted to start school. I couldn't speak a word of English, so it was really difficult. So I went to a school called Moran School. They sent me, and when they sent me to school, Moran School, I was lucky enough. It was a woman there. She was from London called Mrs. Gibbons. She spoke Albanian. she was English from London, but she wanted to learn the language. So she learned the language, and she helped me so much, like there. So I went to school. I was trying to, learn the language. Me being able to speak English then, when I came here, it was like going on holiday for 6 months. It's like all I want to do is speak English. That was like a lottery or something to me then, because here I wanted to communicate to people. So basically, I went to school. I started school. So I started year 9 then. But started year 9, but I did year 9 again because of my English. I had to do year 9 again. So I did year 9 again. And so what I'm getting is basically how I got into martial arts, why I got into martial arts. And so at this stage, for me, I didn't have friends. I've moved to a new country. I had no friends. I was trying to make friends at school. So when I left school, literally, I will try and go out and see if I can meet friends, And so I had a friend, but it wasn't like I knew him very well. So we went to this park. And for my 14th birthday, I've got a phone. It used to be a Nokia. Do you remember them Nokias, really? I bet you had one of them and you still got one now. So I got a present for my birthday, a Nokia, and I was made up, mate. Never had a phone in my life. I didn't know how these phones work. I was so excited. I got a phone. Pam Bai, who was the director of craft, she bought me the phone. She literally bought me the phone for my birthday. So I went to the park, and I was 14, man. It's like one of them guys, phone in the hand, and I'm there, like, check me out. I've got a phone. And so this guy basically asked me to borrow my phone. I was 14. This guy was, I'd say, about 20. So I was like, yeah, of course you can borrow my phone, because I want to make new friends. This is my way. So I gave him my phone. I told this story in All Stars podcast as well with Danny Mitchell. And so I gave him the phone. So he played a little bit with it. I thought he was making a phone call. That's what I couldn't understand him much, because I couldn't speak English. So then it started raining. So I said to him, can I have my phone back? He just went, nah, mate. I want my phone back. It's my phone. I was like, literally, that phone was everything to me. Like, nah, mate, you're not having it back. So I really want to grab, because I'd never step on anyone's toes. But I don't like people stepping my toes. I thought, my phone, pass it here. So it was a wall there. He grabbed me on the chest, put me against the wall, and pulled this knife and put it on my throat. And he said to me, do you own the phone now? And I'm being honest, I was petrified. Yeah. Bear in mind, when I was young, yeah, no one will put a knife on my throat. I grown up from 7 years old. I had AK-47s when I was young, man. I used to have one in my shoulder pretty much every single day. I had little shotguns, like tiny pistols in my pockets. I used to carry them. Like, it wasn't like such as someone says to you, like, I'll mash your face and you won't, mate. I don't care how big you are. I'll shoot your brains. So nobody had a fight then. So I grown up with that sort of thing. But when I was little, you had a gun, I had a gun. So there were no arguments pretty much, I used to carry a gun all the time. I used to put a little white stone somewhere, and used to practice all day shooting. It was alive then. Everybody had guns. Every single house back on, I don't know, after 95 or something, everybody had guns. And so I was growing up in that. You had the gun, I had the gun. It was one of them things. So he had the knife in my throat. So when he let me go, I sort of walked off. And I probably shouldn't say this because it's not a good thing, but I went straight home, mate. If you've got a knife, I went straight home, got a massive kitchen knife. I'm like, I hope all the kids doesn't watch this and members, because obviously, for me in my life, I'm a huge role model to my academy. So, but then I was a 14-year-old kid. I had a pretty hard life. Like I said, I grown up with having guns and stuff around me. So I went and got a massive kitchen knife, and I went with bad intention, to find him. Went to the park. It was raining. Luckily enough, he wasn't there. Good job he wasn't there, to be fair. I'm not saying I would have done that, because I was 14, you were 20. I wouldn't have done much, but that was my 14-year-old. So I didn't find him, went home, and then Pam took me to police station, and then sat there at the police station. They put all these pictures there, and they were like, so who is it? You got 1 to 10. You got to choose number 2. The guy comes on, and his name was Eddie Quinn. So you're watching this. It's cool, man. It's cool. Life's good. so yeah. Anyways, his name was, and then the police said basically he's just come out of jail in Manchester. He's in and out, and this and that. And so I never got my phone back. That's the thing. So after that, it was more like Pam said, I think we should get you into martial arts. So like, all right, sound. And I when I was young, my biggest inspiration was Jean-Claude Van Damme and Bruce Lee. Okay, but I think I like Van Damme a little bit better than, if I have to be honest, because he used to do all these jumping, spinning hook kicks, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. You know, the thing is real, don't you? When you're a kid, you think that's incredible. So then they decided to look into a martial arts place in Huddersfield. So I looked at sports, and I didn't, but Pam and her son looked at sports, and then found a place in Linthwaite. And so basically I went in Linthwaite. I trained there. That place was owned by Bob Sykes, come by the Black Belt Academy, and Bernie Taylor. They were a partnership there. So I went there. I started training. But the thing is now, because I've been around martial arts in 20 years. And then everybody's mindset was like, you have to go for self-defense. I think it's called self-defense. But for me, if I had to say right now, you go to build your confidence. I went there and built my confidence. Yes, I learned self-defense, but because I built my confidence so high, I never once used my self-defense because I was confident. I don't know if you get me what I'm trying to say, but I was so confident. I built my confidence. I built a base. So I was never had to use my self-defense, because the thing is, if someone said something or anything like that, it's not like, when you're confident in yourself, you don't have to like try and mouth back or anything like that. It's cool. And so I went for self-defense. But when I think back now, I think when people look at martial arts, they should look at this in a sense of building their confidence in life. If you build your confidence when you start a journey, you won't need to use self-defense. You literally find a way not to use it. It's good to have it, don't get me wrong, but when you build your confidence, you're never going to use your self-defense. So I went there and I trained. I think I trained a couple of years there, and then Bob Sykes owned the Clash of the Titans. He organized the Clash of the Titans, and I started fighting at Clash of the Titans. And I think on my first ever fight at Clash of the Titans, I fought a European champion called Jamie Golden. The guy is an absolute legend, by the way. He's a great coach. He owns a Golden's Martial Arts Academy. You probably don't remember, but he hit me with a back kick that literally I was stood like that for ages. That's how I did. I didn't even know like he was a European champion. I didn't know much about the Clash. Never heard of MMA then. And so basically I just got like, yeah, get on mats, have a fight. It was like a teams. I don't know if you heard of it. We were like teams, we were like warriors, you know, there were loads of teams built together. So like, we'll go who gets to the final. So yeah, first fight, I fought Jamie Golden. It was a European champion then. Sorry, man, this keeps coming out. It's like the wrestler's ears.
No, it's all right.
They don't stay on. But yeah, so that's how I started the journey in martial arts, really. A few years later, I got offered a job there, which was... I think I was about 4 years or 5 years I trained. I got offered a job to teach. I was passionate. I loved working. So I got offered the job. I started teaching there, and I was teaching there for literally 12 years. I taught that I was teaching kids and adults, and at the same time, I would compete in karate. I would compete in stick fighting. I would compete in kickboxing. I started. Then back when I did kickboxing, I don't know, but it was kickboxing full contact. We was with kicks above the belt. So we wear the belt, and then you had to kick above the belt. So we didn't do much leg kicks then, you know. So, and yeah, that's how the journey started.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that with us, brother. Just one thing. On there, you mentioned about having confidence, and that confidence kind of makes you feel that you don't have to use self-defense. And I know exactly what you mean, and that resonates with me because before I joined the police, I worked on the doors, and also I did a bit of training as well with both Thai boxing and jiu-jitsu and other bits and bats. But what really helped is having that confidence that if something did happen, I'd be able to hold my own. And I think you kind of, as a person, you give off that aura where people
I absolutely agree.
Do you know what I mean?
100% agree. Is the way you present yourself as well. So it's like, and I'm a huge believer. Like I say to my own academy, obviously I probably talk a little bit about Nikos Martial Arts Academy in a bit, but I tell to my guys that I'm a huge believer as well. If you look good, you feel good, and you do good. It's always, for me, that always live. And it's worked for me in my professional fights as well. I've gone to a fight. If I've looked good, I've had a fresh cut, I've looked so good, I felt so good, and genuinely I've done so good. It works, and the confidence. And let me get back to a little bit, take a step back about the knife guy, when he put the knife. So, and the reason I'm saying I'm a huge believer with, people call it self-defense, and again, it's about building confidence, and I can't get that out there enough. It's about building confidence, and that you don't have to use the self-defense. But I was really pissed that he took my phone, and I wasn't able to drive in UK until late, till I was like 23 or something, because what happened was I didn't have a British passport, so they wouldn't give me a driving license. So anyways, I was catching buses. Long story short, I used to go to the bus station, catch bus. I think I fought on your show, you know, then. I turned professional MMA. I was sort of distancing myself a little bit. I still will compete in kickboxing and having a boxing fight, but I distanced myself from kickboxing, and I must have fought in your show back in 2000. I can't remember what year, to be fair. And I
think it was 2000.
First time I fought in your show was May 2008. But I don't know if it was a year before or after. So I was catching a bus. So I remember I was still pissed about the phone. So this guy at bus stop, I was waiting for the bus, and this guy at bus stop, guess who's walking towards me? He's like, he's going to catch a bus. He's who put the knife on me. Yeah. So he was pushing a trolley with a baby on it. Yeah. And so he must have had a baby. I don't know. And I had, obviously, life moved on a little bit, managed to get my hands on a Motorola. Do you remember the Motorolas? Like, oh, hello. So they were pretty cool. So I had the Motorola then, I think. And when he walked towards me, you took something I had. And it's kind of like, it didn't sit right with me, but I never wanted to start anything. I just wanted to point it out. So as he's pushing the trolley, and this is where the confidence came in for me. I was so confident, like in myself. Maybe I was stupid, yeah? But I was so confident that if he started something, I would absolutely smash him, yeah? That's how confident I was. So I stood in front, as he put in his trolley, they used to wear these hats and wear a hat over and used to walk like that. And I knew it was him. So I stood in front of the trolley, and he walked and he looked up and got my phone out. And he said, would you like to use my phone? I had a Motorola. So I literally gave it to him. I said, would you like to use my phone? I said to him. And he looked at me. I didn't want to start anything. I just wanted to prove, I just wanted to talk to him. As he took my phone. I'm sure he recognized me. So I just gave my Motorola. I said, do you want to use my phone? So I thought if he takes it, and I asked him to give it back, if he don't, I smash him. And he had his trolley. I looked at me. He didn't touch the phone. He pulled the trolley back, turned around, and just went off. And for me, I was cool. That was it for me. You know, I mean, I catch the bus up. I bumped into him. You know, I'm not, phone's gone, life moves on, it's all good. But that little bit of me, you took my own thing, and then a phone to me, it was possibly like a house or something, or a car, or I don't know. It was a big thing. I never had the phone, man. The way I grew up when I was like the way kids grow up. I'm a dad now, and I've got a little girl, and I didn't know I fall in love with the little girl so much. I adore her. But when I was little, for Christmas, getting a pair of socks, it was a massive achievement, Safe. A massive achievement getting a pair of socks. And now kids get so much, don't they? It's unbelievable. But getting a phone, it was like, big deal for me. So he took my phone. So anyway, so I just wanted to prove that point. And he just walked off. I've never seen him again, and he's all good. I hope he's well and everything. But yeah, that was it.
But that for you, Niko, that gave you closure, right?
Exactly. 100%. I felt a bit at peace then. It was all good.
Definitely, man. Niko, man, that's for some awesome stories, brother, man. Now, you talked about Nikos Martial Arts Academy. Can you tell us when that came about and what sort of activities and who helps to run that?
Yeah, so with Nikos Martial Arts, so I'm a huge believer again. I'm a huge believer on surrounding yourself with positive people. And the more I've grown and stuff, surrounding yourself with the positive people is a massive achievement. So I had great people around me. I was teaching at this place for 12 years or so. I was teaching there, pretty much teaching 80% of the classes, you know what I mean? And it was that time where I used to get messages and stuff. Are you teaching tonight? Are you teaching tonight? So like, I knew a lot of everybody just wanted to train with me, but I felt like, it's time for me to like open my own. To be fair, is that saying, if I say it correctly, if you find a job you love, you never work a day in your life. And I love working with kids. I love seeing them progress, seeing them smile, watching them achieve something, is incredible. And no matter how old you are, achieving something is really, really nice. And so I decided to open my own. I had great friends around me. I actually, when I decided to leave there, I actually applied for a job, and then I was doing quite a lot of one-to-ones. One of my one-to-ones I trained for a while was an inspector called Chris Norbury. He was the head of Cargate.
I know who you're on about. I've met him.
Have you? Yes.
Yeah, because
so Chris,
I know who you're on about.
Yeah, Chris, top guy. And I used to do one-to-ones. And basically, he just said, he said to me, I've got a job opportunity for you. Bear in mind, I do what I love. So earning a lot of money, what I love is that saying you do what you love, you don't earn as much. You do what you hate, you earn a lot. I didn't earn a lot of money. Happiness is more important to me than money, but I'll have to survive. He said to me, I told him that I am wanting to make a move. And he said to me, it's a fantastic job opportunity come available. I said, oh, great. And you were for special operations trainer, And Chris knew me and he knew what the job was. And he said, you'd be the most perfect fit for that job. So it was, I went there, I thought I'd give it a go. But bear in mind, I've just done martial arts all my life. And so I went and literally I had the interview. I went and had a look around Cargate, met nice people as well. Was 12 people who applied for the job. 9 of them was police officers. And so I got to the final 3. And unfortunately, I didn't get the job because obviously, yes, I was great when it comes to martial arts. I'm a huge believer. I understand the game pretty well. But then again, they knew probably the job a lot better than me. So anyway, so I got to final 3. I didn't get it. So within that month, I was still preparing, opening my own. So I left in 2017, end of 2017. I left my job. I made the risk and decided to leave it. And then 2018, January 2018, I opened Nikos Martial Arts Academy. Now, I was looking for names, what to call it. I called it Niko Martial Arts Academy because everybody just knew me as from fighting. I was just from fighting, and they knew me at the academy. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to just put my name on it. So I called it Nikos Martial Arts Academy. I opened it, and I was blessed with the support I had on the open day. It was incredible. I went from training on mats. Listen to this, right? I went from training on mats and to training on wooden floor in a dance studio.
I remember seeing that footage where you did like a bit of a walk and talk, and you guided people.
Yes,
and I saw it.
Yes, I was blessed, to find. Literally, my ideal world would have been to find a big place with a matted area, and literally, I possibly would have had 100 members there and then. But I was lucky enough. I had so much support, so much following, and I went. And sometimes I used to ask myself a question. I know I'm awesome, and I know I'm amazing. But for these guys to follow me from mats to come and train on a wooden floor where you're getting blisters, like I'm kids like trying to get blisters out and adults, and they just he sent me a message like these guys just want to train with me, and he's a friend of mine. He's a great friend, and I respect him. And you might know him. He's a detective. He trains with me. Anil CP Jack. Yeah. He had a.
Well, let me tell you about Anil. I know him really well because when he joined, I think for 5 weeks, I was his tutor and he was my student just to kind of show him the ropes.
Wow, that's a small world, isn't it? Honestly.
I know him really well. He's such a lovely guy, man. I know him really well.
Unbelievable. He's one of them guys who's been there for me as well, always supporting me. His boys train with me. He's trained with me for years. And but I'm coming to this quote where he said he came from Matador and trained in wooden floor, and he got a blister and a big one as well. He showed me a picture of it. I said, mate, I feel so bad, honestly. He said, brother, I don't care if you went and trained in a field barefoot. He said, I still come and train with you. And that sort of hit home with me a little bit, just him saying that. I knew he respects me and I respect him. I knew that and everything. But just saying that is sort of like, it was just great to hear, to be fair. Now, so
you might not know this. Well, you won't know this, Niko, but around that time, me and Anil are really close, and we used to chat and talk about stuff. And he talked about you and about where you were and where you're going now, and the possible conflict that it may cause, what's good for his kids. And he said, no matter what happens, he's going to go on that route with you. And it was just a matter of time. And so he was having that conversation unbeknown to you.
Yeah. He came straight with the boys came. But the thing is that what I love about that as well, he said to me, he said, listen, Niko, I'm going to ask my boys what they want to do. And I have to respect my boys' decision. 100% I agree. He asked his boys, obviously, and boys were like, we want to go with Niko straight away. You know what I mean? So that was pretty cool. And I opened the academy. He trains with me. Kickboxing. He's a brown belt under myself, and but it's put karate. I've got a program, a grade in a syllabus. I've put together a program. So that program is only for karate. Kickboxing is fun, fitness, lose weight, have high energy, enjoyable. But the karate is the program where people grade belts. But he's put the karate on hold a little bit because he just loves kickboxing a bit more, which is fine. He's got time to come back to karate. He's all good. And so I've been that studio. I was that studio for 2 years, and then literally 2 years, I'm searching everywhere. Or maybe 3 years, actually, just under 3 years, searching everywhere to find a place. And you know this, fine. You can't afford 40 grand a year in a unit and stuff like that. So it's expensive, but luckily enough, I found a place and I rent a fabulous place. It's just under 8,000 square foot. It's got incredible area. It's got like 3 training area, matted area. We've got bags now. We've got, like, with the COVID scenario, because it's so big, we've got 2 meters by 2 meters mats, red mats, and then it's a 2 meter blue mat. And then another 2 meters by 2 meter red. So we've got, like, when the COVID secure is just unbelievable, really awesome. We've got speed balls for kids. Every single square has got speed balls. So the kids not stood there doing no, and we've got heavy bags. So I found this place. It's pretty awesome. And like, I go back to my coaches, like, I'm a huge believer, again, surrounding yourself with positive people, such as, like, Joel Clayton. He's like a big inspiration. He's one of the coaches there. He coaches my family class every Monday night, you know, and occasionally adults kickboxing as well. So he's there. I've got Michael Ryan. He coaches another family class and a kickboxing on Fridays sometimes. Plus, they also help on the weekdays whenever they can. And when McKenna, he don't necessarily coach as much, but when he's there, he coaches. Well, obviously, he's got a full-time job, like Joel and Michael have as well, but he's sort of a bit late to finish. So, but when he's there, he coaches as well. But these guys are my three main coaches. I got a kid who's trained with me since he was 7. He's 18, called Ryan Smith. I've built him up. He's a great coach, but he's had a bit of operation, so he's been off for a while. And so these guys are a huge part of my academy. I wouldn't done this without these guys around me, without the positive energy, the way we feed off each other, such as Wayne, Michael, Joel, you know, they're always there supporting me. So it's been pretty awesome. They all follow the program I brought together. And I obviously, like, you know, I've been competing for like 15, 16 years now. So the program I've put together is just completely through experience. You know what I mean? I've not put the program, I learned something on that gym, and now I come and teach it there. I've put it together through what works for my experience, such as kickboxing, boxing, you know, MMA and all sorts. I put a program together and they all follow the program, and it's really nice. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And it's good to be able to surround yourself with those sort of people like Joel and Wayne and Neil. And they've been around you for years, brother. I remember from years ago, they was always around you. So yeah, it's cool, man.
Absolutely. Honestly, it's been, and like I said, from day one, when I opened my own, the guys just followed me. It was incredible, such as all of them. So yeah, pretty good. And now I'm in Longwood, by the way. I'm in Longwood, Springfield Mills. I'm like 2 minutes from Anil's house. So Anil just opens the door. You there, Niko? Yeah, so yeah, I'm in Longwood now, Huddersfield, so pretty cool. I can't wait to get open again.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure you can, brother. But once you're open, everything will just hopefully be back to normal and people will flock and you'll just continue what you're doing, my brother. So your last fight was on Risk Fight League against Lewis Lofthouse. Can you tell me your preparation and then take us through the fight itself?
Yeah, so I fought on Risk Fight League, where Danny puts the show at his own gym, which is pretty awesome show. I enjoyed it, to be fair. It was amazing. It was a sold-out crowd as well. It was incredible. And the training went pretty smooth, to say that I had 3 knee surgeries. I just came back from 3 knee surgeries, and I had the 3 knee surgeries, actually. So I opened my Nikos Martial Arts Academy on January 15th. February 15th, I had 3 surgeries on my right knee. Yeah. So this is where surrounding yourself with positive, this is where, such as Wayne, Michael, Joel, Ryan, they saved me with the support. But I also taught in crutches. So I was due to have a knee surgery in my left knee. I had the fight on an ACB Manchester Arena. I took in 24 hours notice. I sort of like, I love taking fights on short notice. It's just kind of nice. Don't have to cut much weight. Boom, get on it, you know. But I had a fight on ACB, and I fought the former ACB bantamweight champion, and he did in second round. I wasn't myself, you know, in that fight, if I have to be totally honest. But he did a takedown and torn my ACL. I thought he snapped it, but he torn my ACL. So I was a 6 month out and had an MRI scan on my knee, and basically I was due to have a surgery in my left knee. 6 months later, I thought, it felt all right. I'm going to go back training. Went back training. First session, safe, no lie. Got toe hold in my right leg and snapped my ACL. Someone snapped my ACL in gym. My first session at AVT, snapped my ACL. Ben Bennett. But it's all good. Anyway, so he snapped my ACL in the gym and waited 8 months whatsoever. And then I went to have a surgery for my ACL. They said, you need your MCL doing, or you need your cartilage doing. So did my ACL, MCL, and cartilage on my right knee. And just opened the academy literally a month before. So I was teaching on crutches. So pretty crazy. But like all the adults were awesome because the adults were covered the hard bit is the 4 o'clock classes, 5 o'clock classes, because these guys have daytime jobs. So that was the hard bit. So then after that, I think within, 10 months or 11 months of the surgery when I had the fight. So 6 months later, I was doing a lot of rehab myself. So 6 months later, I started training a little bit. I think it was 9 months. I went to full training. I was always aware of it and just focused a lot on my stand-up a little bit. Like Danny Mitchell was spending quite a bit of time with me on pads, and Lewis Stans, they were doing a lot of pads with me. So I went in there feeling pretty confident, to be fair. Did a bit of grappling. Not let's say 100% wrestling. I stayed away from wrestling because there's a little bit of dangers on the knees. So I had a pretty awesome camp, yeah. And so I turned to the fight. I had quite a good support because I'd not fought locally much, really. I've been fighting always quite far away. So I had quite good support, and fight went pretty well. Lewis Lifter is known as a good boxer. So like started off a little bit boxing. He rushed at me a little bit. For some reason, he wanted to take me down. I wanted to get a bit of cage time and try and strike. So we ended up in the ground after a couple of minutes of standing. We ended up in the ground. So I decided, obviously, if you train on the Danny Mitchell, you're gonna have your twisters down. So when we grapple down on AVT, any of the guys on the mat will twist to you. If you're not switched on the mat, you're gonna get twisted. It's like literally, you think you don't know, you forget. Like boom, it will. All the guys are like pretty experts on twisters now. So yeah, and so he took me, like he kept grabbing me on trying to take me down. So when I went to the ground, I twisted him. So that was it, really. A couple of minutes, I think, or something.
I'm talking about twisters, brother. Obviously, Danny Mitchell's renowned for it, but didn't Rico Bon Bon Franco get 2 of them?
Rico's got 3 twisters. Danny's got 2, but obviously Danny pulled 1 in Bellator. That is incredible. I watched that. When I think about twisters, sometimes I Google it and I watched that on Bellator. That was insane to pull it, especially to pull in Bellator at such a high level. And where did he pull the other one? Cage Fighters. He pulled the other one as well. But Rico, if I'm not mistaken, he's got 3 twisters. Rico, he's 1 in front. So yeah.
Well, people need to be aware of the weather forecast when they come to AVT with all those twisters floating around.
And I think Rico's got no intention of slowing down. He's obviously doing BKB, but I got this feeling he's going to return to MMA soon. You know, the guy's a beast. The way he trains is incredible.
Well, I did a podcast with Danny Mitchell, and he was saying Rico Franco. The thing with him is he's like the third DS brother, you know, with his conditioning and he's just don't stop.
He's had some, honestly, that guy inspires me, his motivation, you know, but he's had some wars in my show, like K1s, you know, the guy, like anytime, any place, anyone, he doesn't care, you know what I mean? And beating Jimmy McSweeney then in BKB and becoming world champion, I think that's a huge achievement and plus he's going through some health problems as well, which I think is in the recovery now. So I can't wait to see him fight again.
For sure. I remember when he first started, he was just like a bit of a journeyman, wasn't he? Just fighting anywhere. He didn't really have much skill under him.
Yeah, I think he had quite a bit of a skill, but I think he also did it for a bit of money. I remember, I hope Rico won't mind me saying this, but I remember when he fought a 4-man tournament in my show. Oh my days, it was my show. I keep forgetting things. I've been punching your head too much. I don't know if it was £1,000 or £500. £500. I can't remember. And
was it your show?
Yes.
Then it would have been 500, brother, because you're one stingy mofo. So it would have been.
No, but I did 2. I did one £1,000 as well. Okay. But I can't remember. But anyways, yeah. So Rico fought, but Rico said to me before the fight, he took it in like 2 hours, I think, or an hour. I'm not sure. And then I tell you who else took it in 2 hours? Elliot Hill. It was the Rico brought. I said, oh, Rico, I need another guy. And he brought Elliot with him. And Elliot came, and it a fantastic tournament. So Rico fought T. lost on points. He was very, very close. Elliot fought Carl. Oh man, I can't believe it. He's a top fight as well. But he fought a guy called Carl, who's he's a world champion in K1 now. But Carl won, but he smashed his shin so bad, kicking Elliot, that he couldn't fight in the final. So the ticket then went to Elliot because obviously Carl was out. Elliot said, I'm too tired. He said, I'm too knackered. He said, I want to let Rico fight. Rico's like, yeah, I'll fight on it. So then Rico already done 3-2s with T. So then he went and did 5-2s with T. And that was even closer. That was so tight. I was like thinking, oh my God, I'm glad I'm not judging it. But it was a war, literally a war. I think possibly what nicked it for Karai, like he knocked Rico down and Rico got a count. So yeah, he fought in my show. The best performance I seen in my show was against Disco Dave. Disco Dave was set to fight T. for the title. T pulled out due to injury. So him and Rico, man, it was a classic fight. And Rico looked just too good. But then, yeah, so we were doing that. So the point I was getting, Rico said to me before, he said, Niko, I really, really need that money. He was like, literally. So he did it more for the money, I think, Rico, then, as he was doing that. And then, you know what? He had so much skills, and these skills were developing and getting better. And I think one day, probably had the chat with Danny, I would say, and he's took it seriously. They were like, that's it. I'm turning up. I'm smashing these people. So, but then he did it as a journeyman a little bit.
Brother, along your martial arts journey, I'm sure you've had loads of coaches and mentors. Is there any specific coaches or mentors that you'd like to give a mention to who've played a significant impact on that journey?
Oh, let me ever think of that. Like anything in life, before martial arts, like I said in the beginning, when I came here, I was a lost 13-year-old. And I started martial arts. But for me, I was at that stage, bear in mind, in my earlier, when I was young, I was a stage where like I was carrying guns. Yeah. And then for me to turn my life around, what I do now, if I sit back and look at myself, I'm proud of myself, not just saying that like being cocky or anything. I'm just saying the truth. I'm proud of myself, what I've achieved in a sense. But for me, when I came here, I had them, you've got two ways. I could have turned and messed about with, different people, or took the path I have taken. And I think for me, not to say that one of the biggest, let's say, inspiration to me, who actually I surrounded myself with such a positive human being, a great friend and a brother who I still train, was Wayne McKenna. He was, because bear in mind then, people would have looked at me saying, oh, that 13-year-old, 14-year-old is always messing in class. I probably was messing. Like, I think Wayne is sort of like, when I was 15, 16, he sort of like took me a little bit, like supported me, you know what I mean? And we started training together. We always partnered each other down at academy. It was a bit of competition, and that fed really well, because Wayne, you're not seeing Wayne kick, is an outstanding kicker. You know what I mean? So it was a little bit of competition between me and Wayne there. And it sort of like supported me so much. And I have to give it to him. He's the main reason I took the correct paths. And to this day now, if I have to make a big decision in life, he's one of the guys with Michael and with Joel who I ring and ask for advice. You know what I mean? So him and his wife, Krista, they literally supported me when I was young so much. So I say he's my first supporter, inspiration, who inspired me to take the right path. Such as like, obviously, when I went to, when I trained, I had to becoming a great martial artist. I have to be totally honest with Bob Sykes. I wanted to be, because in his earlier days, he was an outstanding martial artist. Sometimes you got to put your hand on heart and say the truth. He was an outstanding martial artist. So watching him then back, it was It wasn't as good as it used to be, but it was still outstanding. So he inspired me to get better. So, and then obviously I started competing kickboxing. So while I was doing kickboxing, one of the biggest mentors, you probably heard of him, was Lance Lewis. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a former world, European, British kickboxing champion. He also was professional boxer. He beat Kembio Khan. So he was my biggest. So when it comes to kickboxing, he literally showed me the path. I think what most knowledge of kickboxing I have is through Lance. So he was one of the biggest motivation for me, inspirations, as well as him with Brian Seabright, Karate Association. I don't know if you've heard of him. Peter Considine, British Combat Association. He owns that. He also was around with Brian. And then basically I started, when I wanted to get into MMA, I didn't know how to find the path then to MMA. So I'm sat there debating, and Wayne said, I know Andy Farrell. He said, why don't you speak to Andy Farrell? So Andy Farrell is another guy who like inspired me, to be fair. So I met with Andy and I said, listen, so I met with Andy, let's say this week. Next week, someone knocks in my door, open the door, Saif Khan. Yo, my brother from another mother, how's it going? You came in then. So within a week, all I said literally to Andy Farrell, I said, I want to have, and this was my intention, then, I want to have one MMA fight just to see what it's like. Yeah, that's all I said. I want to have one MMA fight just to see what it's like. I said to Faza, within a week, who did you come with?
I think it might have been Steve Harrison, I'm just trying to think who it was.
Maybe.
It was your house in Huddersfield, wasn't it? I remember.
Yeah, I lived in...
Yeah, I remember, man. I remember coming to your house, brother, down that path, and you turned left and the door was behind, and I go in. And what I do remember, brother, everything was pristine, clean. And there was like, there were photos of you above, on the wall of you doing like these splits. And I'm like, man, what is this little ninja I've come across?
So that basically, then obviously that within that week, as Faza, you came, you had the show. Someone pulled out in your show with Danny Carr. You came all there and you were like, my brother, if you sell this ticket, I remember just like now, right? If you sell this ticket, you're going to give £5 from this ticket. Imagine if you sold 50 tickets. That was awesome. I remember just like now. And obviously I had the fight on your show. So after that, Andy Farrell, because I don't want to miss anyone out at the moment. So after Andy Farrell, I basically, Farrell, I'm not sure, he sort of disappeared a little bit. But after losing my debut MMA, you have that bit of taste. Whether I lost or won, if you win, you want to do another to win. If you lose, you want to do another to win. So it was that sort of thing. So then I'm thinking, who do I ask? And at that stage, I started coaching at Tony Sykes Academy a little bit, and or maybe just before. And Tony Sykes, it was a huge, and still is, inspiration to me. The guy is such a positive guy, but an outstanding martial artist. He might not compete as known into the MMA world now, but back then, he was a legend. You know what I mean? So I asked Tony, I said, please, Tony, I said, would you, Tony wasn't doing much ground then at all. Tony was more stand-up. I said, please, Tony, would you just support? In my mind, I wanted Tony just to coach me a little bit, like stand up and such as like, I wanted him to come with me, to the fights, you know what I mean? And so Tony said, yeah, I'll help you, Niko, And he literally did that, but nothing but help me. He never once, he could have been one of them guys who are like, yeah, I'll help you, but I want 20% of your pairs. 20. He never once took a penny off me. He literally took time. Now I'm a father and I understand he took time out of his family He left it and he used to come, let's say, he picked me up. He takes me train. I remember like we used to do hills and sloth weight, hill sprints. He used to drive up and I used to sprint behind his car and snow in my face. And I used to think, why the hell am I doing this? That's what I used to think. So Tony on fitness, he used to be like, you know. So Tony was a huge inspiration. I had a few fights with Tony. And then basically after that, another thing I massively respect with Tony, with me, I'm a guy who I live, my life is all about respect and positive energy, and it doesn't cost anything. So it's kind of like with Tony, it literally, Tony could have easily said to me, Niko, even though I won a few fights with Tony and then I lost a few, Tony could have said, just, yeah, we're doing good, just stay, we'll keep winning next one. Tony just looked at me and said, listen, Niko, he said, I think for you, it's time to move on. He said, I can't take you any further, he said to me. But at that time, when Tony said to me, I'm being genuinely honest, my heart shrunk because I was so attached a lot, and I was like, I love Tony. He's kind of like awesome guy. When he said that, I just wanted to train with him. I used to do weights, like strength 3 times a week with him, and sprints and running, and, you know. So when he said to me, he said, and I know the perfect guy who to take you to. And he said, you should train with Danny Mitchell. This is, I think, end of 2009 or 2010. And this was after I fought Scraps, a main event in your show. So he said to me, I think you should. Oh, no. I said to him, I said, I want to train with you. It's fine. I said, I don't need to go anywhere. He said, Niko, he said, this is not a joke. And I do agree with Dominic Cruz. This is not a joke. It's a fight game. He said, you need to go and train with Danny Mitchell. He said, and what I'll do, he said, I give Danny a ring, he said, and I speak to Danny and you go and train with Danny, he said, but I'm always here to help, he said, and advise, but that's where you should go. So Tony spoke to Danny, and then I went to train with Danny. At that stage, Danny was getting ready to fight Niko Mosoki in Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. And when I went to Cage Steel, I think Danny was young at 22. I was 20 or something then, in 1920, and Danny was 22, yeah. That roundabout then when you were fighting Niko Mosoki, so he took over Cage Steel at that stage. So then I went to train with Danny and never looked back, really. I've had an amazing, again, I've got such a great relationship with Danny. And so after Tony, I went to train with Danny, and Danny's been the biggest inspiration, not just in my fighting career, but in my life as well. He's like, and he's young, Danny, still. Is the knowledge he has, you know what I mean, is incredible. And one thing I think he does tremendous, he leads from front, he leads his team, he shows the path. He doesn't sort of expect you to do something what he's not done. You know what I mean? So like you rung me so many times, you rung me in 24 hours notice. Do you want to fight in Vienna, Niko? You rung me one Thursday night, 12 at midnight. I was eating some, I think I've got a McDonald's or something. I was eating and I had a giant Nutella. 12 at midnight, this Danny rings me like, there's a fight in Vienna, Niko, in ACB, doing a fight on Saturday. I'm like, yeah. Put Nutella down, 6 miles around me, got back, you know, because I had to lose the weight to make weight. I think I made 63 or something. And then we went to Vienna, had the blast, had an amazing time. Obviously didn't end up fighting the guy because he didn't get the visa. I fought a guy who weighed lightweight pretty much. And I won a decision as well. So that was pretty awesome. No training camp at all. Went full distance with him. His opponent, my opponent from Russia, didn't get the visas. So we ended up facing each other. They said to me, do you want to fight him? I went like that. Life was good. So yeah. So Danny's been like literally the biggest inspiration for me. In between that, I must not forget, like obviously back in 2010, before I went to Danny and before I fought, I was with Tony then. I went and trained with Carl Tanswell 6 months. So he was a massive inspiration to me. He was an absolute legend. And sometimes with Carl, because of my karate background, and Carl was quite good, you know, he had a good karate, but he moved away into Brazilian jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But he used to do a lot of trapping, but I love trapping. So sometimes when we used to do a bit of mess about with a bit of trapping and stuff like that. So I did about 6 months with Carl. It was a bit long to travel, you know. I think when I fought James Martin, Carl were going to come and corner me with Tony. That would have been the best corner having. But Carl couldn't make it, so his guys came and cornered me, and Tony was there as well, so which was pretty cool. But Carl Tanswell, he was one of the guys as well. So yeah.
For sure, brother. Thanks for that, man. Yeah, Danny's a cool guy, man. He's funny as well. He's just a funny guy, Danny.
Danny, mate, honestly, and I would say this, right, as well as Carl Tanswell was a great cornerman. Danny's the best cornerman ever. Like, when I fight earlier, I hear him, but I think I was quite experienced when I went to Danny in fighting, but not MMA. The crowd's so loud. Sometimes if you're not experienced, you don't hear your coach. With me, Danny's so loud. It's so clear. It's literally all I hear is Danny's voice, mate. I barely hear the crowd. And I think that's a skill, trying to shut the crowd out as well. So like when I fought in Vienna, I just could hear Danny's voice completely. Like, so his corner is so precise, outstanding as well.
Well, that's a connection that you have and you build up, don't you, brother? Now, Brother Niko, you've had loads of professional MMA fights and other fights and other competitions. Out of all those fights, is there any fight that's been most rewarding for you? And if there is can you share that with us?
Oh my days, I've had so many fights. They all have a part on it. But I have to go. I tell you this fight where I think is one of the main fights that come into my head. But before that, it links to another fight. So I fought in Wales. I fought a guy called Joe Ore. So one of the fights that comes in top of the head is a fight I had in Portsmouth against Owen Gale. But I come back to that. I had the fight. I fought Joe Ore at bantamweight. Yeah, I won that third round. I think I stopped him with armbar. On the day of the fight, after the fight, I said, "What you weighing, Joe?" You were like 75 to 77 kg. But I couldn't believe it. Me and Danny asked him, and I remember just like nice, I'm anything between 75 and 77 on the day. Like after I won the fight, I just asked him because he was so big, safe. I'm like thinking, how the hell is he making 61? That's what I'm thinking. And like it literally, I remember like the first round was a tough round for me. Like one of the toughest rounds I've had, and I've had a lot of professional fights. And so I asked him on the day, like 75 to 77, but managed to stop in an arm bar. So then 3 weeks. So I recently had a fight booked to fight Owen Gale, but this fight came up 3 weeks before I took it. And I remember just like Brian Adams' messages says, "Well, you know, like any promoter, you don't want the guy to, in case he gets injured, message Danny." Danny said, "It's all good. We'll be there." So I had that fight. 3 weeks later, I had to make 57. But after a fight, you wanna eat a little bit. And I was obsessed with food. I went to 72 kilos, brother. Seriously, fought that fight. By Monday morning, I was 72 kilos. That was like crazy. And then, like, bear in mind, 3 weeks to that fight, I had to make 57. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? You know, and so I drove from that. We had the fight. It was a great drive back with Danny. We run out of petrol on the motorway. So we're there, Danny's singing on the drive. We totally run out of petrol. We managed to get to the petrol station, slept in a hotel. Next day we had the wrestling competition. So I fought. Then I had the wrestling competition. I didn't win my category. I won a couple of wrestling, but I lost on the final. I met my teammate in the final, Gus Firm. He's an outstanding wrestler. He owns Strong 101. And then Danny won his category, which was pretty awesome. So then I had that, went home. I was Monday morning, 72 kilos. I might have to make 57. So then if Brian Adams hears this, but like, I knew that could happen. I was thinking, how can I pull out of this fight now? Because I can't get to 57, mate. Seriously. So anyway, I managed to get down the weight within 3 weeks, made 57. But the reason this fight comes into play against Owen Gale. Now, Owen Gale, I don't know if you know him, but he's literally massive. If you watch him and me, it looks like I'm starving for food. And this guy eats all the food in the world. But he's huge. very athletic, incredible. So we went in there. So Owen Gale finished a lot of his opponents first round. He will just steam through them, take them down, smash them, finish them. So me and Danny, I never watched my opponents, to be fair. Never. I just let Danny, I trust Danny, let him go. And Danny puts a game plan together. So Danny said, listen, Niko, he said, we're going to just move around first round, play with it. So that was the plan, yeah? Owen Gale come first round, throws a jab, overhand, double legs, mate. Yeah, straight away, knocks me down. I managed to get up. And as he got up, he hit me with one knee save. I'm not lying. I swear to God, hand on heart, one knee, broke my jaw. My jaw came to the side like that. So I couldn't close my teeth like this because my jaw's come to the side. He kneed me that bad. And so I tried to bite on my gum shield, but I couldn't because he broke my jaw. And then he elbowed me on my jaw and broke it in 2 places. And I'm there, my jaw's hanging. If you watch that fight on YouTube, you see exactly what I'm talking about. So then I managed to escape. So I'm moving around a little bit. He got me against the cage, got a collar tie again. Bear in mind, all I'm thinking is about my jaw. Am I going to be able to eat again? Am I going to be able to speak again? Because obviously I have to speak because I coach. I'm a coach. So he broke my jaw in 2 places. And then he got a collar tie and he kneed with his kneecap right on my sternum, my solar plexus. And he took the wind out of me. Literally never been winded in my life. And I had a lot of kickboxing fights. Boxing fights, MMA, never been winded. And he kneed me there so bad that you see me, I just collapsed down, got on top of me, and he was exploding like mad, and I could see ref moving. All I'm thinking at this time, right? Because a lot of fighters don't like admitting that they were scared and this. I don't give a damn, man. All I'm thinking is, how can I tap to get out? Because all I could think is about my jaw. But I couldn't move my hand because I wasn't underneath. Like, I couldn't move my hand to tap because he was punching so fast. And then, like I said, obviously, I always listen to that. And Danny said, Niko, you got to get up. You got to get up. And I thought, oh, soddy, this is split seconds going through my mind. I thought, oh, soddy, jaw's broke anyway, so might as well carry on. Got up, managed to get a single on him. Like, literally managed to get a single. I couldn't close my mouth. Got a single. Pushed him against the fence, got a double, pinned him down. And I experienced the weirdest thing. The only fight I experienced this. I put him down and literally went into the mound and he was trying to move a little bit. And I was trying to like position first. Carl Townswell used to say, rest in peace, used to say position submission. So I'm trying there to keep up. And then it's like, he's done, Niko, he's done. So like I hit him. And I swear in my life, Safe, the weirdest experience, every punch I hit him, his energy will drop by 10%. Like I see, so like, you were like weird. I punch him, and bear in mind, I've had a lot of fights, and he will move 10% slower. And then I elbow him, and he will move even slower. And then hit him again, and I'm thinking, this is what's going on. He's not moving. You know what I mean? Every time I'm hitting him, his energy is dropping by 10%. So literally, like, I got an arm bar. Went for an armbar. He rolled onto his knees, shin on back of his head, flicked his legs, armbarred him. But I had that little bit of me because he broke my jaw. I'm pulling on that arm, Safe, to break it like mad because he broke my jaw. That's how I was feeling then. Not now, but that's how I was feeling then. Ref's like, get off him, trying to take me off because he tapped immediately. And obviously managed then to get the win. So Danny runs in, picks me up, and Danny's like lifting me like, you know, the win. And I'm like, I broke my jaw. Like, couldn't speak, barely could speak. Ended up in hospital all night with Danny, obviously. Great coach as well. I never forget that as well. A lot of people were like, you know, he came with me, took me to hospital. They said I might need a surgery, but they wired me for 6 weeks. I had wires in my jaw. But Friday I weighed 57. Monday morning, I was like 68. I was sucking things through the straw. So I bought myself a blender. Yeah. So I was about from 57 to about 63. I was on fight day 63. Yeah. So then I bought myself a blender and I will blend things and suck them through the straw. I hit 70, mate. Seriously, in a few days. I'm thinking, how could this be possible? So I went to work. Unfortunately, I couldn't speak. So like I had my jaw wired. So I'll be like that. So I'm like, okay, guys, gather around. You're doing really well. Gather around. Pay attention, you know. But I couldn't like speak. So I was wired up. I did a good job. I didn't have to to have a surgery. But I've never had any problems with it anymore. So,
well, you know, that's such a cool story of like overcoming adversity and getting that win, man. And like you said, there's times where you just think, I got to find a way out, but you just kept in there and you reap the rewards. And it's a great story to tell, my brother. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely. And sometimes you think, how did he think of all them things I'm thinking in like in split seconds going through my head? I'm not going to be able to eat anymore. I'm not going to be able to speak. But it linked quite well because I won, beat Joe Ori. Then I went and did the wrestling. Then obviously the Owen Gale broke my jaw. So yeah, all good.
Brother, you've had all these fights, okay? And you fought at the Premiership level. You've had loads of professional fights. If there's somebody who's wanting to take the leap from amateur to professional, from your knowledge and experience, what advice would you pass on to them?
That's a great question. As an amateur, you probably haven't got the experience, in my opinion. You haven't got the experience, let's say. You probably do to find a gym. My first advice be find a proper gym to train. Yeah, that be my first advice is find a proper gym where they have proper coaches. Don't look at the social media today. It's crazy. Yeah, you know that. People go and train somewhere 6 months, open their own gym, all good. They do the Mayweather pads, pop. They brilliant at marketing. So when can I tell you a story? Ronnie Green shit. Do you know Ronnie Green?
Yeah, he had loads of Muay Thai
legend, absolute legend. He said to me, he said the one we were talking about the gyms and stuff. This is years ago. And I used to do a little bit with Ronnie. And he said to me, he said, he was a world Muay Thai champion. I think he said 5 times world Muay Thai champion. He had the gym. Yeah. He said, and then he had 70 members. That's what Ronnie said. He had 70 members. He was a world Muay Thai champion, had 70 members, barely managing to pay his bills. You know what I mean? Sometimes people look, oh, you've got 100 members, you're doing well. Paying the rent, paying the bills, paying everything for the gym, then trying to get a wage, paying your staff is no. So he had 70 members, 5 times world Muay Thai champion. There was a guy, next to him, and he was he trained a couple of years, had no fights whatsoever in his life. Just trained a couple of years somewhere. I don't even know. He probably trained to this guy who was 5-time world Muay Thai champion. He had the gym. This guy here who trained a couple of years, he had 300 members. This guy here who's a 5 times world Muay Thai champion, he had 70 members. But this guy here, he smashed the marketing side. You know what I mean? Absolutely smashed. Now I try and I'm not the best at marketing, but I do know I'm the best at what I do. But the thing in a sense of coaching and coaching kids and adults, but it's all about marketing. So coming back to your question, but this is running shit, and that hits home sometimes for me, you know what I mean? Because, as a parent today, yes, they go in Google and they put look at the reviews, best place. But I might never had a fight in my life, like trained about 2 years, opened my own gym. Whoever came to join me, I've been nice and they put a nice review anyway. So for me, what I'm trying to say is as an amateur, look behind the scenes, such as like the head coach or the main coach. What experience have they got? And don't buy the bullshit if they tell you, excuse my language, I don't know if you can say that, but if they tell you they are, I'm a Thai boxing champion, K1 champion, knocked him out. Don't buy all that. That's all talk, evidence. Yeah. So if you're an amateur and you want to turn pro, my first advice, find a proper gym with proper coaches, proper experience. My second advice is be coachable. Yeah. I think if you're not coachable, I genuinely, you might make it. Yeah. You might make it to the big stage UFC. And if you do, well done you, but be coachable. Suck that advice when the coach is teaching, even if they're teaching a jab that you watched 100 times, just be coachable. And every time you pick things up from that jab, you will find ways. So be coachable. don't be one of them guys who turns late for training. You know what I mean? Turns like, oh, I'm going to turn 20 minutes late, miss the warm-up, and then just go straight into... Nah, that's part of you. You've chose that path. So definitely find a proper gym, be coachable. And my other advice I drill it into my members is, I say to my members, I said, talk to me how to train. Yeah. People like, tell you, I went to a few gyms and like, well, please, have you got Wi-Fi? I'm unlimited now, I don't need, but have you got Wi-Fi? Yeah, what's the password? Work hard. So I went to another gym. Have you got a password for Wi-Fi? Train hard. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, this work hard, train hard. Perfect. Work hard, train hard. But before working hard and training hard, train smart. That's my advice. So training smart is the key. Planning your sessions, you know what I mean? Not overdoing, that's training smart. Making sure you rest, that's training smart. Drinking water. You know, I'm 33 years old. I don't drink, mate. I feel bad when I meet with my friends. If I go out, I get a glass of water. And if someone asks, I've got gin on it or something, or I just pretend like I'm drinking. I can't drink. That's how I've grown up. But like, definitely 100%. My advice to any fighters out there, if they're watching, is find a proper gym with proper coaches. Be coachable. Don't think you know it all, because you always learn. I'm always learning. I love when I go to AVD. I love it. Yeah, I go there and I love being coached. One thing I miss in my thing, I miss like doing regular pads. I enjoy that, you know what I mean? But I miss that. I need someone who knows. I can't do pads with anyone. And not being cocky or anything like that. I can't do pads with anyone. You have to hold them properly from me. I don't get motivated. When I'm training at a gym as well, when I train at AVT, I really be careful who I go with. I don't just train with anyone. I like to train with like guys who I know I can trust, more advanced guys. But be careful with beginners, you know what I mean? So that's another thing. But definitely find a proper gym, be coachable, 100% train smart. That's my 3 top tips.
Niko, thank you so much for sharing all that knowledge and experience with us. And I look forward to having you on the other podcast, hopefully 3 months from now, my friend.
Hey, no problem. It's absolutely a pleasure. And you're doing an absolutely amazing job. Fantastic with these podcasts. It's brilliant. And before you go, actually, I want to ask you a question. So I want to interview you. I'm kidding. You know, like I've been watching your podcast and I watched the Javier Mendes. And what was the most amazing thing listening to that? Because I didn't know that Bellator president did martial arts. I literally didn't. I mean, I don't know much about him. I know Dana White, UFC, obviously he does boxing, he lifts weights. And but hearing Javier Mendes, and I love that because he gave Scott Cook, Bellator president, he gave him props as well. He mentioned him. But how amazing is that? Tell us a little bit about Javier Mendes.
Well, Javier Mendes, I'm sure everyone knows that he's the head coach of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, there's a story behind how I came across Javier Mendes to do a podcast. So I've got a
nephew. That's what we're going to ask you as well.
Right. So I've got a nephew called Yasser, and I was just chatting to him, and he was saying to me about what is it that you wanted to do. And I said, I really want to get into the podcast, but I just need to find somebody who's well known internationally, so people would think, okay, there's a bit of traction with this podcast. This guy knows what he's talking about. I just needed a platform so somebody could hear me, because I'm very passionate about MMA, but I just needed people to be able to hear me and view it. So what my nephew did was he messaged loads of different people. And I mean, he was messaging people like George St. Pierre, Faraz Sahabi, Michael Bisping, all these people, and Javier Mendes. And Javier Mendes was the only one that got back to him. And he said the reason he got back to him was years ago, Javier Mendes wanted to go on a podcast, and his son made the introduction and got in touch with the host of that podcast and said, look, my dad, he's so-and-so, he really wants to come on the podcast. Can you get him on there? And he said, that's the only reason he came on my podcast, was because it resonated, because my nephew did it for me and his son did it for him.
Wow, that's awesome. That is really amazing.
That's really helped me, because since then, you know, and that's only been like maybe 8 weeks, 9 weeks, and I've had over 40 people that have come on board since then. So that's really cool, man.
That is brilliant. Honestly, you're doing a brilliant job. I enjoyed it. I've been listening to your podcast, so pretty awesome. And it's lovely hearing, you know, the coaches, the fighters. It's amazing. So keep it up. Great job.
For sure. All right, my brother. So hopefully I'll speak to you soon, my friend. Take care, brother.
100%.